Every transformation starts in the mind. The world around you might seem fixed, but your perception of it determines how you respond and how you grow. In this chapter, we introduce the powerful idea that one mental shift can change your direction, habits, and identity. Most people think change takes years, but in truth, real change happens in an instant. The moment you decide to think differently. This first chapter breaks the myth that we need external things, money, recognition, motivation to change our lives. The truth, our internal world shapes our external results. The thoughts you repeat become beliefs, and beliefs become actions. So, by shifting one core thought, one limiting belief, you open the door to a new version of yourself. It's not about positive thinking or blind optimism. It's about rewiring how you see challenges, your past, your identity, and your potential. Viewers are encouraged to pause and reflect. What is one belief you've been holding that's keeping you where you are? Do you believe you're not ready, not good enough, or too late? That's the belief we aim to dismantle. Because once that story is challenged, everything else changes. This chapter sets the emotional tone for the rest of the video. You're not broken. You're just one powerful thought away from the next version of you. This chapter dives deep into the unconscious patterns that keep people stuck in the same cycles year after year. It's not a lack of talent, resources, or intelligence. It's the repeated inner dialogue that says, "This is just who I am." Most people don't even realize that they're living inside a mental prison they've unknowingly built with beliefs that were never truly theirs. Beliefs picked up from childhood, failures, toxic relationships, or society's conditioning. We explore how people unknowingly reinforce these beliefs every day. For example, someone who believes they're not a leader will shrink from responsibility, avoid opportunities, and eventually create a life that matches that belief. The brain loves certainty. It will look for evidence to prove you right, even if that belief is wrong. That's why people stay in unfulfilling jobs, unhealthy relationships, or patterns of self-sabotage. Not because they want to, but because their mind is locked in a loop. This chapter gently confronts the viewer. If your future is being shaped by your current beliefs, what kind of future are you building? It's a wake-up call. You don't need to be more talented or have more time. You need to challenge the belief that's running your life. By the end of this chapter, the viewer should feel two things: a deep sense of awareness and a burning desire to break free. This is the turning point, the part where realization becomes transformation. Here, we reveal the core mental shift. You are not your past. You are your potential. This idea sounds simple, but it's life-altering when deeply understood. Most people base their identity on what they've done or what's happened to them. But that identity keeps them repeating the past instead of creating the future. When you stop identifying with your past failures, labels, and stories, you make space for a new version of yourself to emerge. This chapter walks the viewer through how to make that internal decision. First, by recognizing the story they've been telling themselves: "I'm not smart enough. I always quit. Success is for other people." Then challenge it. Ask, is that story serving me or limiting me? And finally, choose a new belief that aligns with the future you want, not the past you fear. We also introduce the power of language. Change starts with how you talk to yourself. Words like "I always" or "I never" are anchors to old beliefs. When you start replacing them with "I'm learning," "I'm becoming," or "I choose," your identity begins to shift. This is the moment that changes everything, not because the world changed, but because you changed. By choosing to believe something new, you start behaving differently, attracting different opportunities, and creating a different life. Transformation doesn't begin with action. It begins with identity. An identity begins with a thought. Knowing the shift isn't enough. You must live it. This chapter shows how to integrate the mental shift into your everyday life, even when old patterns try to creep back in. Our beliefs are built through repetition, so the key to lasting change is to repeat the new belief until it becomes your new normal. Start each day with intentional thoughts. When you wake up, ask yourself, what would the future version of me believe today? Write it down. Say it out loud. Embody it. Small, daily choices reinforce identity. If your old belief was I'm always anxious, your new one could be I'm learning to trust myself. Now show up to your morning, your job, your relationships with that belief. We also touch on environment and influence. If your surroundings constantly reinforce your old identity, it's harder to grow. That's why curating your environment, books, content, people is crucial. Surround yourself with things that remind you of who you're becoming. Accountability is also powerful. Share your shift with someone. Say, hey, I'm working on believing this about myself. If you catch me slipping into the old version, remind me. Belief grows faster in community. By the end of this chapter, the viewer learns that the shift doesn't happen once. It happens every day, but each time you choose it, it gets easier. One thought, repeated daily, becomes the foundation of your new life. We anchor the message with clarity and emotion. This is your moment. The future isn't something you wait for. It's something you build with every thought, every belief, every action. If you want a new life, you must start thinking like the person who already has it. Remind the viewer you are not broken. You are not behind. You are one decision away from a completely different life. And it begins with one question. What would I believe if I fully trusted my future? This is not about motivation. It's about becoming. Let go of who you were and rise into who you were meant to be. You become what you believe, so choose to believe something powerful. Choose to believe in you.